Hi everyone, this is John with JIPS.PA. Today I'm going to bring something very new to the channel, and it's something that I've been always wanting to do. Um, I've wanted to share some informational videos and a couple of things I know that people have always wanted to know going along the spiritual lines, not so much the paranormal investigation lines, but more psychic intuition, in my opinion. Um, Today I'm going to be sharing the 12 most frequent types of after-death communications. I'm not talking about us physically going to investigate and use this use these different type of scientific equipment to talk with them, but this is rather signs given from our past ancestors to us. Um, Now, throughout this list, I have experienced many of these, and I will tell you this straight up from not only my mind but my heart. This is going to be a very emotional video because I will share some uh, emotional stories about my mother. I will share some stories about myself um, and my past loved ones, and one I know that is still always with me no matter where I go, no matter what I do. When I have tough times, when I have good times, bad times, what have you. Um, she's come through many times with these different things, and without further ado, I'm going to start sharing these. So, number one, the main one that I experience frequently is sensing their presence. Um, this not only happens with a past loved one, but this happens with everyone. I experience this more since I'm more of the sensitive lines. I can sense when there is a loved one around someone else, and it's different for everybody. Um, like I said, if you're more in tune with the paranormal and more in tune with spirituality, you can pick up on this more than a normal person really would. Um, Number two is hearing their voice. I've experienced this before um, through and actually through investigating. Um, I did an EVP session in my living room after my aunt had passed away on Memorial Day. Um, I asked, if you're here, just say I'm here, and I won't try to talk with you any further. Um, After about a couple minutes, I didn't ask anything else afterwards, and in a very faint, low voice, you hear, I'm here. And once I heard that, I knew deep down that she'll always be there. Um, Now, it could be to hear their voice, it could be like right out of the ear. Um, that's not something I experience the most, but it's something that I know that some people do experience more than others, and I'm actually learning to do that myself here in the future. Number three is feeling their touch. My mom has experienced this before. Um, she was sleeping in her bed, and she was on the verge of being asleep but not asleep, like in that in between stage, and she felt someone sit on the edge of her bed, like at the corner, and she jolted awake. And she was like, "Who's in here? Why are you sitting on my bed?" She thought that I was personally sitting on her bed, trying to get her attention, trying to get her to wake up. It wasn't me. I didn't know that this happened. Um, going going back to the hearing their voice thing, um, my mom has experienced hearing voices before. She was actually laying in bed as well, and she heard in, in her ear a whispering voice saying, "He's downstairs." Um, and again, she jolted wide awake, and this and that and the other. And so she again thought it was me because she said that it sounded like my voice. And I told her, I'm like, I was not there in your room that night. I did not try to wake you up. That, and the other. I keep saying that. Um, but this voice must have been saying about her father. Her father passed away 10 days before she got married. And so it's been a very, very, very tough thing for her, because she's never had that experience of having your daddy walk down the aisle with you and then hand off to your future husband. Um, she's never got to experience that. And I sincerely feel horrible. Um, it's not something that anyone should have to go through, losing their father at such a young age, let alone losing their mother. Um, it's very tough. The next one is smelling their fragrance. I have definitely experienced this once or twice. Um, my grandfather, now on my dad's side, um, he had this distinct smell. And I still can't explain it. He has this distinct smell. Um, he's since passed away. He passed away in 2011. Um, he has a smell, and whenever I feel as though I'm having a tough time, I smell that smell, and I'm like, oh, he's there, looking over not only me, but looking over my siblings and my entire family. Another thing is that my mother, her father, used to smoke cigars, and so frequently she will smell cigar smoke, and um, she knows that that's her father, because she's not known anyone else that has ever smoked a cigar. Moving on, this next one is a very, very, very tough one for other people. If you're still in the grieving process, it's something that I know that your loved ones will not want to do, but it's something at times they need to do, and that's showing their presence and having you see their apparition. This has happened to me once. Um, it was with my grandfather. I'm not really going to share a story because I don't want to make this video 20 minutes long. So, I can basically say I was doing a project for school, and I looked over in the dining room, and there he was. So, um, moving further, the next one is seeing a flat vision of them, like in a picture. I can share that I was down at my grandmother's, and I had seen a picture of my grandfather, and so I kept thinking to myself, oh, yeah, it's kind of a coincidence that I had seen him in that picture, and I know that he's still there. The next one is something that I've already shared about my mother, and it's something that many people can experience, and that is experiencing any of the listed items, and then so while being half asleep. Um, you kind of already have an understanding like that because I shared stories about my mother with the voice, and then with um, having that touch with her. Um, the next one kind of ties in with being asleep, and that's having a visitation dream. Um, my mother had a an experience with her father because she was having a tough time, and she was just so stressed, and I've not seen her so stressed in my entire life. I mean, I was only 6 years old when that happened. But she was downstairs sleeping on the couch because she had fallen asleep after, I think, watching a NASCAR race, something like that. And her father came to her in the middle of the dream, and he said over and over, "It will be okay. No matter what, it will be okay." Um, I have not had a visitation dream myself, so I can't really vouch about what I could experience, but I can tell that there's something big going to happen with me spiritually, and I keep seeing visitation dreams, lucid dreaming, this, that, and the other, um, keep coming up. So it's giving me signs that something's going to happen while I'm asleep. The next one is having an out-of-body experience and actually meeting them. Um, acting as though you're physically, like, not in your body, but you're able to do what you want. You're able to see anyone that you want. And during that time, spirits, and it's funny, it's weird, it's stuff that triggers me into the paranormal even more. You never know. There are no answers, and it's upsetting to me that there are no more studies and regular people like us looking for answers. There's no scientists that are famous for this. There are more spiritual people that are very famous, like Ed and Lorraine Warren. Um, there's more famous people along the television industry, and um, the reason why there's no study of this is because there's false imagery, and people get the best of themselves, and they want to be successful. Um, Everybody thinks that ghost hunting is so scary, and it's so active, and it's honestly going for an investigation. It's like 8 hours long at most, and more than half the time you're sitting there and I hate to say it, but you're talking to air. You're talking to air. Unless it's a very active place, you're talking to air. And you're just hoping for that one split second that you get a response. And honestly, my opinion, the scariest part about being on an investigation is having the fear of an outside substance. Like, let's say you're in an old house and there's a bat flying around, and you're in the darkness and you can't see it until it hits you in the head and you freak out. That's the scariest part. But having an out-of-body experience, that gives you the opportunity to meet them and to actually talk with them. And I know there's a story that I believe was shared on Long Island Medium about this thing happening, and answers were made. So that's probably, I've never had it happen. My mom's never had it happen. I don't know anyone personally that has had that happen. So I can't really go further about this. Number 10 is receiving a phone call. Um, it kind of reminds me of the movie Scary Movie, when the killer goes to call someone, and I can't remember the line, but you know what I mean. Um, Receiving a phone call and it's all staticky, and then out of clear blue you just hear a voice. It could be faint, it could be loud, this, that, and the other. Um, excuse me, it all depends on the circumstances, I guess. Um, Number 11 is experiencing activity such as lights, TVs, radios, what have you, turning on and off. Now, that's common. Um, that happens here at my house no matter what. We have many spirits in our house because our house seems to be a big farmhouse. It was built in 1901. So, I know some of the dark history. There was a death, there were many deaths here, and there was actually a suicide up in our attic. So, experiencing these things, it's very common for me. Um, for others, it's kind of scary, but when you when you're investigating the paranormal, it's something that's just common, and you're like, oh, yep, you're here. Thank you for coming and talking. It's common. And the last one is something that it's very, very, very personal. There was a bat that just flew above me. Um, that's funny. Um, Number 12 is receiving a symbolic message, signs, or the word coincidence. Um, my aunt who passed away recently, um, before she passed away, she gave me specific symbols to look for in order to know that it's her. And what's funny is that this happened right before I even made this video. Before I even turned on the camera, set up the tripod, everything. I'm outside right now, obviously. You can see the grass, you can see trees, you can probably see birds if they're flying around. A cardinal flew from this tree that's over here clear across to the telephone wire. And so that's something that she said to look for, is a cardinal, because cardinals were her favorite birds, and she said to look for them. That and blue jays. Blue jays aren't really that common as cardinals, but it still gets the point across. Another thing is, it goes along the sense smelling their fragrance. Um, she used to be a smoker, and she used to always smoke cigarettes, and of course there's a distinct smell of cigarettes. And so once in a while I'll be sitting in my living room and I will smell cigarette smoke. And now nobody in my house smokes. There's nobody around us that smokes except for my neighbor. But when he does it, it doesn't really come into our house. Each time that I smell the smoke, I always try to debunk it. I'm a huge debunker. And so I always try to look for explanations to everything that I experience. But it's a lot of information. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope you like me sharing some personal stories about my mother, about me, about my family, and my experiences with these 12 most frequent after-death communication experiences. Please, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to head out to our Facebook page and hit the like button to support us. We are almost at 2,000 likes on Facebook. Links will be in the description below. You can also follow us on Twitter, and you can also visit our website. And if you have not, since you're down near our description, you can hit that red button that's right by our picture, and that is to subscribe to our channel, and you will receive more notifications from me on when I upload more videos. But without further ado, I'm going to quit yammering on. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I can't wait to bring more videos to you and everyone else here soon. So thank you for your time, and I hope you have a great night. Bye-bye.